What is diabetes? There are two types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is typically diagnosed during childhood. People who suffer from type 1 diabetes are unable to produce insulin because the body's immune system attacks the pancreas, which produces insulin. As a result, sugar builds up in the blood instead of going into the cells where it's used for energy. Type 2 diabetes is typically diagnosed later in life. The main difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes is that people with type 2 diabetes still produce insulin. However, their bodies are not as sensitive to it, meaning that they still end up with high blood sugar. Type 1 and type 2 diabetes have very similar symptoms. Type 1 diabetes symptoms include hunger, thirst, fatigue, weight loss, numbness in the feet, blurry vision, and mood swings. Type 2 diabetes symptoms include frequent infections, fatigue, hunger, thirst, blurry vision, and pain or numbness in the extremities. The exact causes of type 1 diabetes are unknown. However, it is believed that genetics, as well as exposure to certain viruses, could be causes of type 1 diabetes. Similar to type 1 diabetes, scientists are not positive of the causes of type 2 diabetes. However, again, genetics and environmental factors such as excessive weight or obesity and inactivity seem to be contributing factors. There are several factors that will put a person at risk of diabetes. Some of these factors can be controlled and monitored, while some cannot. For example, weight and physical activity can both be monitored. People who are overweight and not physically active are more likely to have diabetes. However, there is a genetic predisposition as well, which cannot be changed. African Americans, Hispanics, American Indians, and Alaskan Natives are also more likely to have diabetes. African Americans had a 12.7% higher rate of diabetes. American Indians and Alaskan Natives had a 15.1% higher rate of diabetes, and Hispanics had a 12.1% higher rate of diabetes compared to Caucasians as well as Asians. In 2015, there were 30.3 million Americans living with diabetes. That's approximately 9.4% of the population. 1.25 million American children and adults have type 1 diabetes. And there are roughly 1.5 million Americans that are diagnosed with diabetes every year. In Virginia, there are approximately 837,137 people with diabetes, which is about 12.2% of the adult population. Each year, Virginia adds 37,000 new people with diabetes. In 2015, diabetes was found to be the 7th leading cause of death in the United States. In fact, it was mentioned as a cause of death on over 250,000 death certificates that year. People with less education are more likely to have diabetes. In the U.S., out of all the adults that had less than a high school education, 12.6% had diabetes. Out of all the adults that had a high school education, 9.5% had diabetes. And out of all the adults that had more than a high school education, 7.2% had diabetes. Elder individuals and people who lived in southern states also were more likely to have diabetes. Treatment and management of diabetes varies from person to person. There are many options for insulin. Many people choose to inject insulin directly using a needle. However, there is also the option of an insulin pump or inhaled insulin. Diet and exercise can play a big role in management of diabetes as well. Eating healthy and staying active can greatly improve quality of life for someone living with diabetes. There are also drugs that can help increase insulin production for those with type 2 diabetes, such as diabetes, and there are drugs that can decrease the sugar absorption, such as acarbose. Scientists are currently researching a potential cure for diabetes using stem cells. Stem cells are a type of cell that has not fully formed yet to develop a set of traits. It is thought that the use of stem cells, or more specifically progenitor stem cells, can be used to produce insulin, and in fact have been shown to do so in lab conditions. While this has never been done before, scientists do believe there is potential for a cure here. It is still currently under investigation.